All right, my beauties. Welcome to today's Oracle Talks. I am Jynnette, the Oracle, and this is the Innocent Alchemy YouTube channel. Happy new moon in Pisces, and I hope it's happy for you. All right, let's actually get into it. I hope everyone has actually been doing okay with the energy. I know it's been a little wonky, especially since we had the full moon in Virgo, to be honest. But welcome, good morning, good morning. As you come in, if you are new, welcome so much. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the channel. Please go ahead and hit the like button. That helps to spread the live throughout the ecosystem of YouTube. Thank you so much in advance. Good morning, Charisse. Hope everyone is doing well. All right, so I was already in council with Spirit earlier today. For the most part, I've actually been good the last few days because a lot of times the days leading into the new moon can be kind of rough for water signs like myself or folks who have water energy in their rising sign, sun sign, or moon sign. But, you know, for the most part, I've been pretty energetic, but I think that's also because of the energy that's been coming off of the sun due to the geomagnetic storm caused by the coronal hole. If you guys don't know, I'm very big into what goes on with the sun for looking at, you know, how that's going to be affecting us, not only physically, but also spiritually. So yeah, it's been pretty energized for the most part, but I could feel last night and also this morning when I was checking in with my energy body and stuff, like there was a whole lot of things that were just like lodged and sucked in. So I've been doing my own clearing on some higher levels of my soul aspect. And yeah, so I can imagine that if not last night, over the last couple of days, there's definitely been some things that you may have picked up on unknowingly. That's okay. So what I'm doing right now is just shuffling the Ascension cards because I definitely felt called to use these. And, you know, we're at a really pivotal time that we come into every single year. That transition from winter into spring, Pisces into Aries, where we are having the experience of being dissolved and transmuted and transformed in the divine during Pisces time, right? To then be birthed out anew with the spring equinox, with Aries energy, which is the individual human consciousness. So this can be and feel kind of all over the place at times. Emotions may come up, but really just observe them, let them go, and come back to a place of neutrality, because I think that the sense of balance to imbalance will be what we will expect for the remainder of Pisces time. And honestly, for any mutable season, but especially for Pisces, because it does talk about the dissolvement of that which is not true, that which is not of the divine, to be given back to source, and then to reveal that which is true. Okay, so good morning to everyone coming in. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the new folks. Welcome back for those who are regulars. Please go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Well, okay. We have a lot of jumpers. So the message from the Ascension cards from the base is the Pleiadians, okay? Which it makes sense because I've actually been working with a lot of good morning. Hello, hello. Some of that dragon energy. Hey. All right, so let's see who came through. Mary Magdalene came through. So if you've been working with a lot of the mother goddess energy in her various forms, that may speak to you. The great masters of Orion come through. The Mary Magdalene card is number 35, which is an 8. 8 is a portal. Orion, this card is number 18, which is a 9, a number of ascension and the rainbow serpent, for those of you who resonate with that energy. We also have Ascendant Master Marco, who works with Hilarion, and also Hilarion came out, and both of these seem to be associated with Saturn, which very much rules the, along with Jupiter and the others, the Wheel of Fortune and monitoring the manifest universe in this area of our galaxy. And it's interesting because Saturn, specifically through Capricorn, the Devil card has been coming up like a lot, especially today when I was working with the cards. But specifically over the last couple days, that energy has been showing up. And it's very much about what I was mentioning, referencing earlier, of the dissolvement into the divine, which is Pisces energy, and then the shift and the turnaround to then be birthed into the physical, the manifest world through the Aries portal. So there is this new relationship that we're honestly having to have with the simultaneous freedom and divinity and independence of the soul in conjunction with the confinement and the laws of the material world. So Hilarion and Marco are 46 and 47. 46 is a 10. Is that Jupiter energy? 47 is 11. Master number. It's also the inner alchemy. So temperance energy, the inner twin flame energy, all of that. So that's a lot. Well, let's see though, do the cards, what messages we have. So I invite everyone to take a few deep breaths, deep belly breathing on your own, dropping into the present moment. I'm going to actually use a different deck with everyone today. And as you take each breath, releasing thoughts of the past, releasing concerns of the future, of tomorrow, even the next minute, and come into the present moment with your full consciousness, calling back all parts of you, mentally, emotionally, and energetically, back to yourself, into your center, from all time, spaces, frequencies, and dimensions. And then returning back to others, any energy that they have consciously or unconsciously sent towards you, or that you may have pulled from them, or the consciously or unconsciously, sending all of that back to them with love and grace and mercy and forgiveness. And in this process, affirming your energetic soul sovereignty and affirming their energetic soul sovereignty. And maintaining and containing energetic barriers, so that you may experience yourself fully without distraction and come into a deep communion with the divine. And in this sacred space, calling in your higher self, asking for clear messages to come through, to direct you this day and for this coming week for your highest and greatest good. as well as any key messages from this experience of new moon in Virgo, in Pisces. Not only for this day, this week, but also this lunar month. Giving thanks. So it is, amen. How's everyone doing so far as I get these cards out? And then also too, if you do have some general questions, you can go ahead and type them in the comments. Welcome to folks coming in. If you're new, hello, I'm Jynnette. If you're returning, welcome back. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video. It does help to spread the exposure of the channel throughout the YouTube ecosystem. Thank you, thank you. And then if you're just joining in, we just finished doing some deep breaths to center in, and also called in our individual higher selves to receive messages for our highest and greatest good. So this is interesting. So far, almost everything out is swords. So this is having to do with consciousness as well as templates of consciousness, the mind, belief systems, all that stuff. All right, so give me 1 second. Feeling better after dropping in. That's awesome. Yeah, connecting in is always good, and it really doesn't take much. That was literally only maybe a minute of intention and deep breathing, and it completely resets. Of course, it helps to have another person anchoring that energy, which is what I'm doing, but the simplicity of that experience is available for all. So what we're having to face is the Nine of Swords. We have to deal with this energy. And if you can see here very clearly, these swords, which should be perfectly aligned and sharp and straight, i.e. in divine alignment, working in proper order, they're warped and distorted due to this imposter energy here. Now, this imposter energy could be a thought form, a pattern of behavior in the family that you picked up. This could be, external beliefs that you have internalized. This could be thoughts that you've created for yourself based on your sense of worth or survival or what have you. And of course, you know, in particular, this could be an actual entity that is distorting the proper functioning of the consciousness. Okay, so all of that. But essentially, to bring that all down to a single core concept, because everyone's going to be in a different place with this, is dealing with that which is not inherently natural to the state of things, not inherently natural to the original programming of consciousness, and needing to get rid of it in order to come back into alignment. And the thing is, we know what this is, or at the very least what it does and the effect it has on our life. Okay, because that Nine of Swords card comes after the Eight of Swords, right? And this is the 8. So the swords are in their correct strength and power and position, and they are assessing that something has gained entry or is trying to gain entry that is not naturally inherent to the natural order of things. And so it's putting up boundaries, it's putting up protection. So there is actually an awareness of that on some level. And so that ability to assess a thought, a belief system, a habit, some framework of consciousness, or literally an entity that is not supposed to be there because it's not naturally how you are, what we are all being called to do, and this also includes me, is to see it for what it is and to cut it out. This is the action, the Three of Swords. To cut the connection. So changing the mindset, releasing yourself from that thought pattern, that belief, from that ancestral pattern, or literally removing an entity or a cord attachment with a previous partner, what have you. This is the work that we are to be doing. And whatever that thing is that's needing to be cut out, it is in part either directly or similarly related to things that came on the radar back around February 11th and 12th, which is when we had the, I think it was the first quarter square moon in Taurus. That also was, I think it was an aspect of Mars. I think it was an aspect between Mars and Uranus too. Uranus ruling the higher mind, divine mind, or consciousness constructs, consciousness templates. Mars meaning the individual human ego, individual self. So the humanity and the divine mind, something about that too might have been brought up for the light workers or those of you who are dealing with more energetic stuff. But regardless, it either is directly related to that or very closely related. Okay. So if we do that, if we face whatever that stuff is, the universe is supporting us in that and will clear it quickly. We have the Eight of Wands here in protection from the divine. It will be cleared quickly. You don't have to worry about it. It's not something that you're going to be laboring over for a long time. You may be able to clear it in a day, may take a couple days, but regardless, keep focusing on what you see that's not supposed to be there naturally. And what we're coming up against, what we are essentially having to learn to do, honestly, is continue this walk of balancing the internal divine feminine and divine masculine and hold better boundaries. The Emperor, being in control of our mind, of our individual human self, what we will allow, what we will not allow, and also what we choose to create and the stability that we cultivate in our life. But the Emperor is the sun in form. This is the divine human being in form. And what we've been working on and reconciling is our nature, is our relationship to our divine nature, the soul nature, the mother principle, the feminine principle, the Empress, which is constantly creating and transforming. That's what's been this whole, essentially last 6 months, right? Is being in the fall and the winter. But we are to be coming out and emerging from that place and anchoring in or activating more of our divine masculine principle so that we can take that power, that soul power, literally, and be a true creator incarnate. Which will be in play through the upcoming autumn equinox. Karma is on our side. We have the Justice card here. Balancing of the inner light and the dark. The higher self, Venus, and the ruler of the material world, as well as one of the rulers of the ascension process and the descension process, Saturn, being weighed equally so that there is balance, so that we experience Ma'at. We have entered a portal, and we are sitting at the precipice of the creation of a new stage of our life with the Ace of Pentacles. This is what we are literally sitting in right now. This is how we're showing up. New opportunities in health, wealth, relationships, finances are all starting to open up now. This is the door. This is the portal that we have. Well, we're walking through, actually. We already crossed the threshold, but this is now starting to develop. And we're going on the journey of becoming the king or the queen, but the master of the material world. Whatever that door is that has been opening for you, and it's probably multiple areas of life. So again, health, wealth, relationships, career, all that kind of stuff. But the only way that we can actually truly activate and be able to receive that is to do this cutting. This removal, again, of that which is not supposed to be there, that which is not naturally you. And you already know what this is, okay? This isn't creeping up out of the blue. Again, this should be something that has already been on your mind or circling in some way, shape, or form since mid-February. We will feel like we're coming back to a place of power and control and get that fuel again. But again, it's only going to be there if we take the agency, because the universe will handle it quickly. We just have to give our consent. We have to have our discernment and specificity as best as possible, and then release it back to the mother. Let her take it, compost it, consume it, remove it. The mother in her death aspect is what is supporting this release and reveal of our true nature as sons and daughters of the Most High. You may also have found that either Uranus or some other divine energies have definitely been giving you insight into things recently. So again, that's another confirmation, another message about it's not going to be something that you don't already know. But it's telling you that even though, like, you may be experiencing emotional stuff, but it's really what's going on is that the consciousness is being played with or distorted. So it's like a ventriloquist, or the what do you call the little puppets of the minarets? I don't know the name, but they just, they pull the strings and it elicits a certain thought or emotion. That's what's actually coming up. It's like, okay, well, this isn't actually me, right? Why is this thing coming up? Why is this thought coming up? Like, that's not from me. And to not hold judgment, just to see it clearly for what it is. And to release, return it to the black, to be composted to the Mother Goddess principle, which will open up the energy for a place or a sense of rebirth. So that, again, balance, something arises, empty, release, come back to balance, something arises, empty, release. That's the process. In general, that's a process, but it's also heightened much more right now because of Pisces season, and this is the great composter. And this is on a soul level because it's water. But our divinity is shining through in the midst of all of that. So there's nothing that's being missed at all. Okay, so that felt really esoteric. Any questions? Not that I'm apologizing, but I already know I'm like all the way up here. I'm definitely trying to ground the messages as much as I can. Hello to folks coming in. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, questions either on this or for yourself. We have some time. If you're just dropping in, please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. If you're not already subscribed, thank you. We have some powerful major arcana energy up here. I mean, literally, have the Emperor, the Empress, and Justice. It's powerful. The interesting thing about Justice is it represents or is associated with the Libra sign, and we're coming up to the opposite, right? So there is literally a sense of the tipping of the scales to come into that perfect balance and harmony. Libra across from Aries, and the Emperor is actually Aries, and both of these are showing up here. So it's been a predominance of the feminine process of incubation, of feeling, of assessing, of stripping away, of adaptation. And as we come into the final stages of this shift, anything that's not going to support the next stage of that balancing of the scales, so to speak, moving forward, is available to be let go of with support. And it's going to be a predominance of the masculine principle, or the more active aspect of our experience. Obviously, for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere. So nobody has any questions. Everyone's doing well. That's amazing. If that's the case, that's really, really good. Really, really good. Yeah, I don't really have anything. Nothing else is really coming through. I think that actually was the message, because it's, it's pretty much going to be this all month. I think the closer we get to the eclipse, or not the eclipse, excuse me, the equinox, which is literally just in 2 weeks, it's going to be a nice shift. It's going to be a really nice shift. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. That's a lot of change to happen in 2 weeks. And I don't actually think it's going to be like huge external stuff that's going to be going on or shifting and changing. It's deeply internal, because it's all this Swords card. It's the back of the mind, the subconscious, the unconscious, which is being addressed. Or literally aspects of the energy body, different levels of the aura that have been attacked or are being attacked and are needing to be cleared. So if that is on the radar, and again, you would already know or have a sense of that, definitely work with a healer. Reach out to me if you want to do some cord cutting or entity clearing. But yeah, the bulk of this is consciousness stuff. Or the thoughts, or actually, like I said, the aura and things that are there. I mean, this literally looks like an entity. This is similar to what I see. one of the types that I see sometimes in the spirit. They're just jacking up folks' energy bodies. Mm. All right. Well, if there's really no other questions, I might just go ahead and end early. So I'll give a few more minutes. I'll give a few more minutes. Mm. Mm. So Amy wrote, so is it something that requires noticing patterns and stopping, or more emotional? Depends, I guess, on the issue. Yeah. So that's a great question, actually, because on the one hand, there will be emotions that will just pop up, because they are just being made ready to be cleared. So all that we have to do in that regard is honestly just witness them, feel them, and then ask the universe to take it, and that's enough. And those kinds of situations are really ones where, yeah, it is more of an emotional thing. So you really want to sit in compassion with that part. When the mind stuff starts to come in, the beliefs start to come in, if it's something that you know is a pattern, right? Then that's an opportunity to not only witness, but also dig deeper and see or try to assess where the root of that is, to determine if it's something that you created or if it's something that you've picked up, from friends, from family. If it's something that's been passed down to generations, like, okay, the mom and grandma and great grandmother and all those people, they all have the same kind of mindset. That assessment is what would need to happen, and depending on that, then you can do energetic release work from that to work on the consciousness level, as well as purposefully creating or instilling new thought patterns, because it's not just about the release, but it also is about the refill. Now, a lot of times, right now, there's not too much of I think the intentional planning that it has to happen, because a lot of the reconstruction has actually already occurred. And so what's being made available for us collectively is the sloughing off of the dirt that's kind of covering the new higher trajectory mindset, if you will. The new way of being, the new pattern is actually already there, which actually is what's nice about the Pisces season, is because there actually is a lot less work to do, because it is a time of divine grace and mercy. So really, truly, as things come up, giving it back to Mother Earth, giving it back to Source, whatever the connection is. But definitely, especially as women, giving it back to Mother Earth, letting her take it, letting her compost it. Like, she's big enough. Like, the planet literally is big enough for whatever stuff you're carrying, right? Or we're carrying individually. Just give it back. And as you do that, you'll be able to see that, oh, there's actually a strong foundation that is built and that has been set, and it's just being uncovered. And that's really going to be the case for everyone. Now, of course, in general, and this is a big thing for me, if you have had past romantic relationships with folks, this is a great time this month to, like, literally do cord cutting with everyone, to just free up your energy, whether it was a positive breakup or not. Like, it's just energy that you're continuing to be tied to, which could be used for other things that would make you more happy. So, let it go. Let it go, and they'll be fine, and you'll be fine. So I hope that answers your question. But yeah, and there, of course, there does need to be that aspect sometimes of, when a thought does kind of creep up of just being like, you know what, no, we're not going to do this right now. And really kind of taking control and being the emperor of your own life, being the CEO of your own mind. So yeah, I hope that helps. Reese says, I feel so much better now that certain energies have dissipated over the last month. Yay, that's awesome. I'm energized and motivated towards right action for my specific intentions, letting go of fear. Getting ready for the Ides of March. Oh, awesome. That's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like a lot of this was happening, this corridor of release was already happening in February. So, but I'm getting specifically like, once we got into that February 10th and on time frame, like, I think we've kind of been in this wave. So that's awesome. Congratulations. I like that compassion part. That's so hard. Yes. And if anyone has seen one of our most recent posts, I had one of the comments that I said in that recent post on Instagram. I had said that our humanity to ourselves is always our greatest challenge, essentially. Our humanity towards ourselves is always going to be the greatest challenge we have in our life. But the invitation always, which is why I like to sit with the elder energy, is love you like God loves you. Not religious God, but source. You just exist. You're perfect in your existence. You are literally breathed and propelled into existence every single moment. There's nothing that's required. There's nothing you have to do. There's nothing that has to be shifted or changed. Just your beingness is enough. I mean, and that's the whole thing about consciousness, like on the greatest level, consciousness really is just awareness. It really is just the ability of source to see itself. That's it. It's just seeing. And it's hard to effectively describe that, but that, if you've heard me talk about my experiences as a young preteen in middle school and having what I call experiences of spontaneous samadhi, where that which sees just peers through your consciousness and you exist, but you also don't exist. All that's happening is just seeing. There's literally no thought. There's no judgment. It's just seeing, just observation, just witnessing, just awareness. And there's nothing lacking. There's nothing that's even needed because there's no lack. There's not even ecstasy because there's also no pain. The polarity doesn't exist. It's just seeing. And the seeing in and of itself, as a human being, when you're just seeing what's there, that alone is an act of compassion. So just seeing without judgment, but just seeing, just watching, just observing, just being aware, just fully being a witness. That actually is an act of compassion. That true seeing, that true acceptance of seeing what is there and not warring with it is what opens the door for change to occur. But a lot of times, especially if we've dealt with some serious grief or things that we don't want to deal with, the seeing is coincided with the feeling of everything that needs to be felt, which is why that first stage of the 5 stages that I talk about for healing is the hardest and the one that we spend the most time in, because we don't actually want to feel, we don't want to see, because again, we have the judgments, but literally letting what comes up to just come up. It's so simple, but so powerful, and it's not easy. And I myself, with my little Virgo moon, and Saturn and Jupiter in Virgo, this is hard. Because that judgment piece is just like there and on lock. Well, it's part judgment, but it's just like, it's that fixer energy. But that's also not the seer. Anywho, I don't want to go on a tangent on that. I already did. Shaolin Grace is my mantra for the month. I love it. I love it. Yes, Grace. And yes, you did answer my question. Thank you. Awesome. Yay. Cool. My name actually, because I love doing etymology, the name Jynnette is a feminine diminution of John, or Jean, the French, but John of God, basically, but not the one in Brazil, because problematic. But the disciple John, and it means grace of God. So that is that either is or is a part of my angelic function in this life, is being an emanation of grace. So I invite you to do some etymology on your own name and see what comes up. Okay, all of that about seeing compassion reminds me of what I've always wanted, that place of lack of emotion. Not to not feel, but to get to that higher place energy of who we actually are, if that makes sense. Yes. Yeah, I mean, so, and I think that it's important to make the distinction. Like, there's a difference between feelings and emotions. So feelings are attached to judgments, right? Emotions are just pure experiences. So anger is just anger. Sadness is just sadness, etc. But the feelings of like, oh, I'm not good enough, or I should be better at this, and like all that kind of stuff like that. That's the stuff that's tied to belief systems, and I think that's really what is the focus for the bulk of people right now with the Pisces energy. Seeing that interface of how thoughts inform feelings, because emotions are going to come up, and they actually should, because that's natural. But the feelings, which are basically tied to belief systems of the thought forms, is what will lock us from allowing the emotions to naturally come up and to release, which is how it's supposed to be, so that we keep moving. and stagnate us and limit our ability to actually create. So it's a different way to train ourselves to lean into that which is uncomfortable. But the more you get practice in it, and we have our entire lives to practice, the more you lean in, the faster you notice something that, feels uncomfortable or that you don't like, the sooner you just truly drop into that, acknowledge it and what have you, the faster it goes. But things just stay along because we're like, oh, it's not a big deal, or oh, this is silly for me to, feel this way or what have you. And we stop the process. And all that is happening is we're just getting information and feedback. It's like having a little kid come to us and, is wanting our attention or wanting us to buy something for us. They really just want to be acknowledged. I mean, that's really it in its most simplistic form. But, it has to be simple if we're talking about things that are accessible to all people. Because wholeness, as well as the process of healing, is available to everyone. And it's actually your divine right to experience the wholeness of what you are. Because you're never not whole. But our thinking, the physical world, can make us think that we aren't. And that's why a devotional path, however that looks for you, but i.e. falling in love with God, falling in love with Source, falling in love with that which is beyond the material world, is so important, because you need that reminder, that anchor of the truth of your beingness, so that you don't forget too often. I mean, we're human, we're going to forget sometimes, right? But that there's not too much of a self-identification with this. Not to deny it, because live your life and be human, but to not eventually get to yourself to a point where you're not hurt or destroyed so badly because of either internal circumstances or external circumstances. And, that definitely can be some master level shit depending on where you're living, because humans be wildin'. All right. Anything else? I'm going to go ahead and just get some closing guidance for us, because I think, oh, I knew that was going to happen. I was waiting. I was like, it's either going to happen when I move my hand and I'm going to get caught on the headphones, or something else. But anyway. Awesome. You're welcome. All right, so let me get closing guidance if there's nothing else. Again, thank you to folks who are coming in. As a reminder, all those other cards that I pulled at the beginning were sent by the Pleiades, okay? So I'm going to read the message from them. The Pleiadians are great healers. They love Earth and all who live on her. By drawing this card, you are being invited to open your heart to Pleiadian healing. Let them enfold you in their loving, healing blue light so that their wisdom and gifts flow into you. When you have absorbed these qualities into your energy fields, pass them on to others. Remember that the animals who come from the Pleiades, sheep, pandas, and pigs, heal people and the land. Bless them and honor their work for our planet. And the affirmation is, I open my heart to love and healing from the Pleiades. So if any of you resonate with that, you can go ahead and take that. Interesting, the card that came out is the King of Swords. So again, this sword energy This is being the master of the mind. Being able to perceive things clearly and making appropriate judgments and decisions for self, as well as holding appropriate boundaries. And message was sent from the Six of Pentacles, which is again another confirmation of that quarter square moon. I think it was the first quarter square moon in Taurus. I think it was the February 11th or the 12th. So there is something there. Please definitely go back and take a look at that and see what was up, what was going on in your life. Because you might have gotten your first experience of what that really truly feels like. So you can use that as an anchor point to return back to, a reference point. I'm just going to get one last card from Mary Magdalene, and I'm going to stop because the gardeners are out, so. I'm sure the noise is annoying. Oh, same again. Six of Pentacles. Interesting. Interesting. So in this version, though, as the message from her is, this is about your thoughts creating physical reality. Okay? And as you consciously choose to do that work, you will see what the outcome is. Where you're paralyzed by the spring equinox. Whether that's literally by the 20th or by the end of the Aries season. Okay? So do this work in the meantime. Find those places where you know there's thoughts, patterns, behaviors, or even energy that is not yours, that's not naturally supposed to be there. And witness, clear, depending on the context in which you're working, right? And release. But keep your boundaries up. You know what it is. You can assess. You can see clearly. Yep. And as you do so, you'll come into greater sources of love and have an easier time coming into greater companionship with others. Yeah, this moon is important. This moon is really important. All right, I'll end on this. You are loved. The Sun card. This is your true nature. And this is what we all get to sit in for the next 6 months. Healing and wholeness. And activity, our divine masculine principle. The soul in form, in action. All right, you all, I love you so much. Thank you for joining me. If you can, please subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Of course, like the video, share among friends and families, what have you. And if you're not already signed up on my newsletter, sign up, right? And I think that is it for right now. Yeah. Love you all so much. Have a blessed day for the new moon in Pisces, and I